Hello and welcome after a huge long hiatus from doing this. Welcome back to another episode of the Husky Introvert Believer. This is just your said Husky Introvert Ariel coming back to do this solo endeavor. Promise it's short, not gonna torture you for a long time. Was debating between doing this in audio only or video. I ended up just decided to do it on audio only. I'll keep the videos just for the Husky Barbus for when Jonathan and I do it. With me alone, I'll just keep it more intimate and just leave the audio version out there. And haven't done one of these alone in a while. I think the last one I recorded, I don't even remember. Must have been November or December. And we're already mid-January, past mid-January. And first month of the year and it's almost over. That's how life and time is just running quickly, which is something that is making me think as of late. Been through a lot, and I haven't felt much of in a position to share. I mean, if you see my social media at that Ariel Duran, I barely post anything at all these days. It's because there's really not much to post about. Like, there's not much for me to talk about or show. I mean, I'm in a position right now that all the little things that gave me joy, like art and drawing, movies and all that stuff, they don't longer pull me, you know. Even wrestling, I follow wrestling, but I'm not watching anything actually. Like if I start looking in whether I'm following up, like actually diligently watching an episode of Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite or Collision or whatever is out there, I'm actually not watching. Not really. Not watching at all. And I'm lately been looking at myself, like questioning, like, why am I not enjoying? Yeah, I could say that probably, because I miss my girls. Yeah, but I've been missing them for almost 3 years now, so that's something that has not changed. I mean, yes, it would be wonderful if I could be with them right now, but it is what it is. So, deal with what it is, not what I wish to be. Then I have to look into other things like, um, am I happy where I currently am? Well, that's a sliced. You gotta have to slice that up a little bit because there are areas in my life that I'm very happy. I'm very happy where I'm congregating. I'm very happy with the church I found. I find myself looking forward to weekends where I can go to church and enjoy myself in church. So I find that relaxing. Like I'm always looking forward to the days that I get to go to church. That's a good thing, but also weird, odd, because, the norm is that people don't like to go to church. That's the norm. Let's be honest and let's be sincere. So there's some weird thing going on at the church you're going. Uh, Normally, if you are a believing person, usually there's a problem with going to church. There's some sort of issue with going to church, and I don't have such an issue. I actually enjoy going to church, and I enjoy going there because it's the closest I feel to God. It's not that I'm not exercising my faith here at home. I purposely every morning make a devotional, read my word, pray, worship a little. So I purposely make an effort for every day to seek God, but it still feels lingering. It still feels like there's something missing. And I mean, you gotta understand, there's a culture shock with me in terms that I feel more identified as a child more with the American culture side of things than my Dominican side. I have to understand, I was a comic book nerd when it wasn't cool to be a comic book nerd. So it was like me against the world in DR. Like if you said you openly like comic books, talking about later 80s, early 90s, early, mid, and late 90s, you were made fun and ridiculed. I didn't care. I liked it ever since then. So I was in this before it was cool, before Robert Downey Jr. made it cool, basically. And in DR, there are no comics. They don't sell comics in DR. So I've been collecting some, some trade paperbacks and also comic books ever since I came to live here, and even some figures from Funko Pops. Stuff that I couldn't do back home. Buy a bunch of nerdy T-shirts, geeky stuff, all the stuff that I wanted, and I pretty much got all that. Got even some musical instruments. I play bass and guitar. Not particularly well, but, to each his own. There, and still not satisfied. I've been allowed the fortune and the blessing to have equipment beyond my wildest dreams that I could have had back in DR. Like this equipment that I'm using right now to record this. I got very good mics. I got a very good mixer. I got a very good computer. And even in the art department, I have an iPad Pro, Apple Pencil, even a Wacom tablet to draw in with a computer. I was given a computer. I have a very good professional camera. I got the works. Yet why do I feel that something's missing? I have this sinking feeling that something's missing. What is it? Like I'm asking the question out there. Like what is it? What is it? What is it that I'm missing? Am I supposed to be doing something? Am I where I'm supposed to be? I mean, I'm 45 years old and I haven't figured this thing out. I'm 45 years old and I haven't figured this out. And here I am, a grown man with a wife and a 12-year-old kid, 12-year-old daughter that is smarter. I'm so incredibly proud of her. I'm beyond proud. Like, proud doesn't even cut it. I love that little girl so much because she's so smart. She's so intelligent. She's so beautiful. Cannot believe I had any participation on that whatsoever. Because she is so smart and she's so beautiful. And I have a wife that I still am asking myself, how was it that I got her again? Then those things, like those were my main focus some years back when I was alone And that's not that difficult to imagine because I'm not a social person and not an outgoing person. And there was a time in my life that, yeah, it seemed that I was going to end up alone. That was pretty much that was gonna be the lot of my life. That was just my slim pickings. That was just it. That I'm just gonna end up alone. Yet, for some reason, I ended up with an incredible woman, not just any woman, a woman that makes the effort to understand me, to see beyond my flaws, to see beyond my screw ups, and notwithstanding that, she still decides, like, you know what? Yeah, I want to spend my life with you. Then we go ahead and make the most beautiful baby on the God's green earth. And then she ends up being not only smart, but beautiful and a good person with her own particular attitude, with a lot of good and very bad traits from yours truly. What can I say? She's my little clone. She's like my female version of me, only more outgoing and more expressive than me. And I see that and like, look, I really don't know where these questions are popping up in my head. But if I just look at it just that alone, having that wife, having that kid, that is beyond blessing. That is beyond a blessing. That is beyond something good happening to me. It has happened. You want to call it God's providence, you want to call it whatever you want to call it. I do call it God's providence. I do believe in God. And when I look at them, when I look at a picture of them, when I talk to them, can't help but smile. Can't help but smile because that was what I always wanted. That was my wildest dream. That was my pie in the sky dream, like my wildest ambition. And people are gonna listen to this and be like, dude, you really aim low. But knowing who I am, knowing my flaws, being mortally aware of what and who I am, mostly the negative, which is, people tend to lock their dirty little secrets, and I know the monster that lurks inside of me. And I know that I do not deserve what I have. Yet God, by His grace and mercy, decided to allow me the privilege, the honor to have those two girls in my life, my wife and daughter. For that, I'm grateful. For that, I am more than grateful. But now, in this current juncture of my life, I feel like there is, like I'm in a crossroads. Like, it's a decision time. And I really don't understand the decision because I'm, it's not about God. I already made that choice. It's not about taking care of my wife and daughter. I already made that choice. So what is it? What is that question that's lingering inside of me? I have to look deep within because I feel like all this equipment, the recording equipment, the drawing equipment, the iPad Pros, the Apple Pencils, the Wacom tablets, the computer, the camera, all this stuff just willy-nilly just popping up in my hands. It's got to be for something. But I'm very low on curiosity, as you can tell, because of asking these questions and even doing it so openly on a podcast. Is because, one, I must be the most clueless man on God's green earth. I mean, I feel like that episode of SpongeBob SquarePants when SpongeBob was a cave sponge, I guess, and Patrick Star was a cave star, and they were like associating, how to cook when they finally discovered fire. When the old timey barbershop quartet was going, I feel like I haven't gotten to that moment yet. I'm still looking at the thing, stick, the fire, thing, stick, fire, stick. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm old. I don't know why I'm using such an old dated reference. Look at me now, talking about SpongeBob SquarePants as if it's dated. Yet it is. I mean, I was old already when that thing came out, and yet it's already a 20-year-old reference. That's life. I mean, I'm still in the influence or the idea of that the 80s was 20 years ago, when in fact 40 years ago. Oh, Jesus. Anyway. Yeah. Questions. So, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave that in the cliffhanger. Like, what is the question? I mean, don't know even the answer, though. Might as well even ask the question. What is the question? So, thank you for listening and diving into this weird thing. Follow me. Follow the podcast on Husky Bible Media or HB Media, and Instagram, Twitter, X, Instagram and X. I guess that's what. You can also follow us our YouTube channel. I guess once this is uploaded, it will be there on YouTube as well, because it's already in the feed. tpublicstore.com. You can get the designs that yours truly has made so far. You want to help out, guess that would be the best way to do so. And our website, huskybiblepod.com. So thank you for listening. Take care. Peace.